I am Loretta Omer. I am one of the instructional designers here for the Center for Learning Technologies, and I am going to be engaging with you, and I hope that you will be engaging with me. We're going to be talking about our modern minds. That's the focus of our institute today. We are engaging modern minds. And so what I want to hear from you, right immediately I'm going to be engaging you, I want to hear from you who you feel our modern minds are. Our students right now, we have most of them who were born in the 80s and do not know life without computers. They've never lived in a world without a computer. And that is something for us to consider, because where we are coming from, we know life without computers. We know how it evolved. These students are not aware of that, and it's not even important to them. So who are the modern minds that you are engaging with in your classroom? And what do we mean by modern minds? I want to hear from you. So per Allison's instructions, raise your hand. I'd like to hear from you. Who is your modern mind? Yes, Kay?
The modern mind in my classroom is in their mid to late 20s, and then I have the 50s-year-olds in the same classroom with them. So it becomes a very interesting dichotomy between the two age groups. I have one who've never known anything without the computers, like you said, and then the other ones are just still trying to figure out how to survive.
Yes. Anyone else have that type of experience or another experience? Who are the modern minds that are in your classroom, and what are the other minds that are in your classroom? Who are your students? Yes, in the back.
When I think about modern minds, I think about openness to new ideas, and they're excited to learn new technologies. And I've also shared your same experience. I teach here at ODU, and I also actually teach within the BCCS system. And so I've had experiences where I've come in and I've had students who are similar to my age, and then also students who are older. And so I have those different demographics, and you can see the differences, and that's why one of the things that's so important whenever you're thinking about the technology is to think about how it can suit each of those different types of modern minds. So the simplicity of it, and how whenever you're bringing a new technology into a classroom, how they can fit with each type of demographic within your classroom.
And so actually we're kind of modeling that for you in our institute. When Mohammed was talking about the diversity and the variety of the methods where we're going to be sharing content with you through the various levels of technology, that's exactly what Ian is referring to with regard to the way our learners are learning. So you want to provide different opportunities for them through different technologies, whether it be no technology at all, low use of technology, or high technology. And that's what we're going to be going through in this throughout these 2 days. I want to share with you what the students talk about with regard to engaging their minds.
I'd say the main things that stick out in class is where the teachers have the students get together in groups and basically interact with each other, because I feel like one of the best ways to learn is not just student-teacher, it's student and student talking with each other. Like, the best way to learn is to, teach somebody else.
I like the interaction in our classes. Opinions are asked, and we're taught skills with paraphrasing, and I like it when we get together in groups and just work through that together. interaction is what has been fun for me.
I also enjoy it when teachers really get the students to participate in an interesting and fun way. I mean, we played Jeopardy the other day, and I played that since elementary school. It doesn't happen every day, but it was nice, you know. It made us stand up. When you stand up in class, it wakes you up, gets you moving. So.
It's been 15 years since I've gone to college the last time, and actually it seems like the professors and everything, especially here at Old Dominion, seem to be more proactive or very helpful. So,
but definitely when professors are more hands-on and more lively, it's when they're monotone and start reading from the book, it's when you start to say, okay, well, I can do this at home, or I can go online and get the notes. I don't have to come to class. But when the teacher is more hands-on with you, and PowerPoints help a little bit because then you can write notes as you go, but it really helps when a teacher doesn't have any PowerPoints, for me anyways, doesn't have any PowerPoints, because then I'm forced to write notes and to have to remember what they're saying about the information dealing with the course.
When I think of student engagement, I think of how they participate at school, but I also think of how they participate with the material that they're learning. I mean, part of being a student is constant growth and integrating all the different things that you're learning. So I really think that a lot of times students don't engage with the material, and I think that it just kind of results in kind of busy work because you're just going through the motions. That's what I think of.
What do you think about what they said regarding engagement? What does engagement, how would you define engagement? Is it that engaging with content, engaging with other students? I want to hear from you. Yes? What's engagement? Yes?
For me, and like the others have mentioned, I have diversity in the classroom, but I find it troubling. I can get them to engage in content if I deliver it in a non-traditional format. But if I give a student a book, and particularly a supplemental book to read, I find that our young traditional age students really don't like to read.
Is that perhaps part of the modern minds, those that have been born after the or in the 80s?
Well, and that's what I'm kind of wondering is, so for instance, if I'm teaching a lesson on the New Deal, I can give them speeches to read, and I can show them videos on YouTube. But am I compromising academic, achievement by not having them read more substantial works?
That's a good question. Who has it work for them? Who has conquered that challenge, getting the students to read?
In an introductory literature class this semester, I was extremely surprised that students who read a very contemporary novel that I selected with some pretty racy content and questionable language, they really liked it. They really read it. It's the first thing I've ever chosen that they said they really liked it. It was a Pulitzer Prize winner, so it wasn't completely void of value.
So how are others of you getting your students to read what you feel they need to read? Are you chunking it into smaller pieces? Are you quizzing them on it? How are you getting your students to engage with the content? How are you getting them to read what it is that they need to read? How are you getting them to prepare for class?
I'll just say also that I had for years resisted journals, asking students to write journals, to read and write responses, but since I started doing that, some of them may feel like it's busy work and I'm concerned about that, but they really do seem to prepare better for class discussion if they've written journal entry in advance. And I do that on Blackboard, so
Okay.
Using technology in that way.
And we have a response down here.
say, I also teach an introduction to literature class, and there are some classical pieces of literature that when I teach them, I make them relevant for today. I look at the theme and show them how the theme is enduring. And that seems to engage them more when they realize that it does have relevance in their life, even if it was written in the 17th or 18th century. And I also use a journaling type of teaching so that when they come to class, they're prepared to talk about those themes that we're going to discuss. Maybe it's easier because it's English, but they seem to be prepared and they seem to want to talk about what they've read.
You're saying it's easier because it's English because the nature of the course is saying that you're going to have to be doing some reading.
Well, there's no one right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps because they bring their own emotional baggage, if you will, to the experience. And a lot of them are very willing to share that, particularly in their papers and their writing. For some of them, it's cathartic, which is amazing to me that they'll share their life experience.
Okay. Over here, Betsy. Oh, in the back, and then maybe here first.
Honestly, I use bribery.
Yes.
I give the students extra credit for saying something. So I call it talking points. But my problem, because I teach sociology, is I allow them to give their opinions. You see, opinions are opinions. It's so
yes.
They must be based on like a study. So
yes.
then I have to teach them critical thinking when they look at articles. So opinions are fine. So they begin with opinions, they love it, but then we have to go to brass tacks and say, those opinions are not.
So you take them from anecdotal to evidence-based.
Right, but they're okay with opinions. But when it comes to the articles that they have to criticize and the basis for many of the opinions, then that becomes a separate problem. But I do give them credit for saying something, so I call it talking points.
Okay, so we're talking about bribery, but we're also talking about...
Sorry.
Yes.
I said bribery.
Well, we're also talking about more or less training our students to begin with an opinion and then base their opinion on some type of study or evidence. So you are taking them through the steps of critical thinking. Was there anyone in the back?
Thanks. I'm in the engineering college, and there are certain courses I teach, leadership and ethics. And hold on to your seats. I actually have our engineering students read literature. And the way I engage them is I give them a 3 or 4 page outline of what's required of the reading, and what's required of the reading are certain opinions and certain synopses. I do the same thing with case studies when I'm teaching ethics, is that I give them real life case studies and they've got 5 or 6 questions they have to answer. You can't answer the questions intelligently unless you actually read them.
Right.
Students do respond to grades, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We got to use this.
What I'd like, yes, come up here, Betsy. We enjoy exercise, CLT.
Since I teach graduate students mostly, they pretty much do the reading, but not all of it. But one thing I do, and I was just thinking maybe I could do this with undergraduates, is I have them propose the discussion questions on the readings. And so they post them on Blackboard the day before. And so I know they've read at least one article.
Very good. What I'd like for you to do, you have a 3x5 card in your packet. And I would like for all of you to take out the card. I want you to put your name on one side, and on the other side, I would like for you to write some way that you currently engage your students. Some way that you're engaging your students either with each other, with content, or with you, where you're giving feedback back and forth. So I'm going to give you 1 minute starting now.